We were sitting out here with one of the coaches about 1980 eating lunch, and as I looked out, this whole Tiger patio looked just like it did in a picture from the 1950s. And I said to the coach, we're going to have to start getting South Pasadena High School ready for the 21st century and get out of the Beaver Cleaver era of the 1950s. And he looked around and said, South Pasadena needs to get out of the Andy Hardy era and into the Beaver Cleaver before we can move on to the 21st century. So that's been kind of an impetus since then to move South Pasadena High School into the 21st century and do the kind of 21st century thinking and production that's necessary. So at South Pasadena High School, in the 21st century, you need to be productive. So here in the wood shop, we don't just practice driving nails and framing houses, but the future is going to be about your ability to design, and everyone's going to have some appreciation of aesthetics, design, working with groups, and getting things done in a project manner. So here we have an example of some of the work done at South Pasadena High School. This is a chair produced by a first-year student. We sent it to the California State Fair this year, and as a result, this turned out to be best in show. We have another table where we used walnut with termite damage and turned that into a piece of furniture. And notice the design pieces that go with it and the kind of precise cutting that has to go on, the kind of care that goes with it, and design. And the chair back is the joinery. We use kind of craftsmanship kinds of pieces such that the joinery is what really impressed people at the state level. Then we produce other kinds of pieces at the state that finish in the top three that require a lot of specific kinds of turning, a lot of precise kind of measurement, a lot of different kind of measurements that go on, so that we have to integrate all the things into complex thinking and then complex production in order to produce pieces that are going to ready the student for the 21st century. The piece is one thing. The other thing that's going to be more important is producing a student who can think on his feet, design a project, put it together, produce the project, and then evaluate how he did and what he would do different the next time. Once a student produces something and demonstrates that they really are competent, those students turn out to go to their academic classes and start applying in the academic classes some of those 21st century soft skill behaviors in that classroom where they were struggling in 9th and 10th grade. A couple of these guys who produced this now go back to class and start producing and feeling like they're capable of being good students as well as productive students in the future. They also understand from working with the adults around that the future is going to require them to interact and to get things in an adult world. So producing a product means there's no excuses. You either produce it or you don't. And many students who we think who are just in academic classes don't produce, and they never will produce, find out that when they have complex things to put together, they can produce, and they can produce at a high level. Ninth grade English, its first essential question is, what makes a good story? How does animation spring off of that and reinforce that and take that even to a more complex level?
Okay, we haven't quite gotten to story yet. That's going to be coming up probably in the next week or so. But we do look a lot at the different genres of filmmaking. So there's the hero, although there's a whole list of I have to have it in front of me right now, but it's the protagonist, the heroine, the victim, and the different types of stories, the different types of narration. So the fly on the wall, the narrative. Sometimes they'll take it from a historical context. They might, maybe they're reenacting Snow White or Little Red Riding Hood. We're going to be looking at some clips from Disney next week, and how Disney researched a lot of the fairy tales that were already existing in European culture, and that was the basis for quite a few of his movies. He reinterpreted things that were already existing through various verbal and written stories.
As a student has to create their own story, they have to pull from what they learned in English, freshman English. They then have to create and then make those connections and actually apply the things that they're learning in various classes. So it's not just one class that students learn about what makes a great story. And finally, our other story by 12th grade should be what makes my story great. And we should have a video there.
Right, right. So they're going to be putting together a claymation in a couple of weeks after we see these clips and we get some reference under our belt. So they're going to have a storyboard where that story has to be written out. They'll be writing a script, so there's actual software that helps them determine what's going on in the background, what this character is saying, if there's a voice coming from off stage. So they'll be writing the story. They'll be doing a little basic drawing in the storyboard, and they have to work from the premise that the story has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Because if we don't have that set before they start doing the characters and the modeling, it can get way out of hand. So there's always a structure involved, and it always goes back to basics that they learned in freshman English. Right now we're working on hands-on drawing and animation, but you'll notice there are some stuffed pheasants in the room, and some of the kids are actually using their iPhones to capture different views of the birds as reference, because in animation it's important to have a lot of pieces of reference to work from, so they can go back to their desk and they'll have all these different views to look at as they're drawing the different anatomical drawings. We're also using the internet to research characters. They're developing their own characters with different expressions. Right now, a lot of them are working on pushed expressions, because in animation, everything is exaggerated. So they're looking at what is already existing out, historical representations of different animated characters. They have all this reference right at their fingertips. Whereas before, an animator would have to go out, buy a big library, spend a lot of time off-site in a library, get magazines, and have to have a large space to contain all this stuff. And now it's right there. Actually, it's in their phone. I think they have a greater understanding of animation, how to get multiple tasks done in a group, because when they put a video together with, say, claymation, you have to assign the work, you have to figure out who can do it, who's got the best skills at whatever, so they can get it done in the time allowed. And then they're better able to represent themselves visually and on film, drawing-wise, because we use a variety of tools. We use the drawing tool pads, they're using cameras, they're using software, editing equipment. So there's several pieces of software that enter into this, as well as hands-on skills. And I think they're more confident. We've had several kids, especially the group projects, tend to do really well at the state fair for some reason. So that seems to be a strength that's coming out of here.
We have online virtual businesses that are created. Kids have to form into groups around their company, create a product, and then have each of the divisions of a company represented. They go produce a business plan and then go to various competitions around the state, as well as operate that business with virtual dollars, and all the other virtual businesses in the state then go in and purchase products from us. And we have to keep track and emulate a actual real life business. We have students who then go out and present their business plans to UCLA's MBA students and get a lot of feedback there. Students also go and work with various corporations who have volunteered to provide feedback, and many people and volunteer parents in town, as well as those who have kids no longer here, continue to volunteer to provide advice and feedback to students on their particular expertise. So in here we do virtual business, we also produce architectural design, and again, design is something about aesthetics and producing something that actually works. So we're looking at various ways as the world gets more dense and people live in denser areas, that design helps influence the environment such that we have a quality of life rather than just a densification of life. This requires then that students are able to use math, communicate, work in groups, all those pieces of the puzzle that are going to allow them to go out into the real world, have those skills already in place, as well as the attitudes, and are able to function in an adult world in a professional manner. We have a number of classes, from photo to beginning journalism to the student newspaper, the online newspaper, as well as the yearbook, where students have to produce a concrete product that people actually will go read and have some interest. So students have to explore that aspect as what's of interest, as well as manage a budget and hit their deadlines in order to produce the paper, the COPA, and keep that under budget. So an authentic product really drives a lot of students' interest in getting things done and integrating everything else that goes on in the other academic classrooms. In beginning art, we introduce the principles of design, because you can't just go out and get a computer and just try everything under the sun. There are some guiding principles. There are things you need to know and be able to do. In animation, you saw that they were drawing characters. Well, in here they might see more specific about the characters, about technique, and about aesthetics, as well as the use of color, emotion, all those pieces that go in there. So we want to make sure that we have an informed group that goes out and learns more skills. We're going to put you guys on camera so you don't think fast.
Oh no. Uh-oh.
So our question today was, at the end of the year, what is it you really want students to walk away with their experience in painting and drawing first year?
An incredible sense of self-satisfaction and some beautiful artwork and some great self-esteem, uplifting and feeling great about themselves.
So how do you see that changing over the course of the semester? How do they grow into that?
Some walk in here with very little knowledge, and with a few tools and new skills, they really blossom and see kind of a new awakening, a new sense of what they really can do with their art. So that's exciting. Sometimes you see that, that light bulb go on like you do in math, and they go, "Oh, I get how to make this certain technique work well for them," or they discover that they do have a little hidden excitement for art that they didn't know.
And so Amy has painting and drawing 1 classes all the way through AP art. How do kids change from painting and drawing 1 kids into AP art students and really get super serious about this?
Well, the wonderful thing about second-year art students or AP art students is they want to be there. They are not doing it for the art credit. They love art, and they're there because they want to continue in art. So either they want to pursue art in college or as a career, or they just love art and want to do it for themselves, or they want to expand into other types of art or design, such as graphic design, photography, film, animation, or any of those 21st century skills that we love to see.
Our students are continually working here in the library. During lunch and brunch and after school, we are constantly busy. Students are online creating assignments. They're working on blogs and different activities that they have worked with their teacher with. We have both laptops and desktops that the students use. They're more than welcome to bring in their own technology. We try and research different technology outlets for all the students so that we can introduce new things throughout their career here at the high school.
I think technology can really enhance education because kids are used to getting their information that way. They're much more interested when they see something on a screen, or they can watch a video of something actually happening to illuminate the material being taught. Having said that, I'm also kind of interested in the topic, and I'm planning a forum for parents on technology in the teenage brain, about how technology affects development of the brain. And there are a number of researchers studying this, and I find it fascinating. So I think technology is an important part of our lives. I don't think it can replace reading, but I think it can enhance curriculum greatly.